Hi everyone, this is Kristin Kreuk, me. Welcome to the first E1-to-1 Facebook Live. Just send in your questions and I will answer them live here in my theatres. Okay, so to start off, while you are doing that, although some of you already have, I'm going to answer some questions from the peeps over here at E1. So the first question is, your fans are excited to see you in this new role. How is Joanna similar or different from other characters you've played? Why do you think they'll love Burden of Truth too? Well, Joanna is a fierce woman. She's incredibly capable at her job. She's a little bit incapable with people. And I think she's very different from a lot of the characters I've played. The similarity, I think, is that she has a certain strength. And she's, had troubles with her parents, which I find seems to be a continuity amongst the characters that I've played. I think that you will also love Burden of Truth and this character because she's a very relatable woman, and she's kind of an evolution of the characters that I've played previously. She feels very much like an adult, a flawed adult, but an adult, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so the second question is, the series themes are very topical. The environment, inequality, corruption, the struggles of small communities, and so on. Was it important to me to speak to those issues? Yes, very much so. I think that looking at these issues from a story perspective, from a narrative, is really valuable for all of us so that we can look at an issue from all angles. Obviously, these are things that are happening in the world right now. They are things that concern all of us and affect all of our lives, but really looking at those things from people's points of view makes us feel it more and gives us access to perspectives that maybe we didn't have before. And that's something that I love about the power of storytelling. Okay, the third question is, how did I get involved in this project and what about it spoke to me? Well, I got involved with this project pretty early on. I had gone to E1 and pitched them a few ideas of my own, and they had been like, no, you suck. They didn't say that, but they said no. So they sent me a few projects that they had on their slate, and I went through them, and this was one that really stood out to me. It was different from what I had looked at previously. It was moving away from genre, which I wanted to do, and it dealt with the issues that we just talked about in the previous question. It really looked at things that I thought were important and looked at the things that I wanted to explore in this kind of new chapter of my career. Okay, next one is, you're also a producer on the series. How does that change your day-to-day experience on set? Well, it really changed the way that I started this show. When we got a nod, a go-ahead to shoot it, I went into the room with the writers and really helped to develop this project and this character. And I had a real stake in that, and that was meaningful to me. So once we got on set, I felt like I needed to also take care of the other actors and make sure that we were telling the story that we wanted. And I felt that once I was there, it was a little bit overwhelming to deal with all of the things. So I gave some notes here and there, but mostly I tried to focus on my work as an actor, because that can be kind of challenging, at least for me. Okay, the next question. The series is executive produced by 4 women. Amazing women, Alana Frank, Linda Pope, Jocelyn Hamilton, and me. Why was it important to you to have female leadership behind the camera? Well, this is a story about a woman, but also a bunch of young women. All of these people who are struggling and going through massive transitions in their lives. And I think that, we've seen so many shows in the past that have female-led series, but male-backed, like creative teams or executive producers. And I think that it's important that we have shows that tell female stories, that have women involved, especially now, because I think it's been lacking, and it does change the way that you tell a story in the end. It is very funny to do these Facebook Lives because you're just talking to yourself. Because I know you guys are there, but I can't see you. So I hope you're finding this interesting. Okay. So the next question is, What are you most proud of about the series? Honestly, I'm really proud of all these young actors that we got to play with. I mean, yes, I'm proud that we got to do an interesting serialized legal show about something that's both environmental and about like abuses of power. But I'm so proud of these young actors and actresses who have, you know, been able to show their stuff and find a place. And we've told, I think there's a beautiful love story in our show between Luna and Molly, and I love watching them. In tomorrow's episode and Wednesday's episode, you get to really see the beauty of that kind of couple, and I feel really proud of that. The next question is, this is a Canadian-made show, but how does this show relate to international audiences? Yes, it's a Canadian-made show, and we don't shy away from the fact that we're in Canada, but I think that if you look at countries right now, you can go to the United States and see the exact same thing. There are single industry towns that are struggling and are trying to find their place in a modern world. Manufacturing is faltering. People are just struggling. So I think this show can speak to that, but also it speaks to growing up and to personal struggle and trying to find your truth, which is what Joanna is going through, trying to find out who she is in the midst of crisis. And I think that anyone can relate to that story. Okay, next question, which is a little harder question. Did you have a highlight or a memorable moment that took place on set, like a funny encounter, slip-up prank? We had a very fun and light set. We laugh a lot and dance and giggle, but I don't know that we ever had a specific, like, big slip-up. I don't love pranks. Honestly, they make me uncomfortable. So we didn't really do any of that, but we just had a really warm, loving environment, which is the way I like to work, so it feels safe and people can take risks. And the last question in this set is, what did you find most interesting when working on this story? Was there anything you learned that you found useful to know, like about the law or investigation? Honestly, it's funny. I knew this before in a way, but a lot of law is paperwork and digging through paperwork. And that was interesting for me to kind of grapple with when you're trying to tell a dynamic story. And also really looking at, it's about how much resources somebody has if they're gonna win a case. The people with the resources tend to win. And so that's why this story, I think, is so compelling. It's about the underdog, the people that don't have the money and they don't have the reach, trying to fight against a much more powerful and resourceful enemy. And I think that's very interesting. Okay, so we are going on to the fan questions. The first one's from Olivia Victoria from Fort Erie. Hi, Olivia. You're a big reader, and I know you used to journal sometimes. If you were to ever write a book, what would it be about? I don't know. I've always struggled to have like complete stories in my head, beginning, middle, end, and so the idea of writing a full book is incredibly daunting. Maybe I could write 2 essays. Would that suffice for a full book? I don't know. I doubt it. Okay. The next is from Anne Paris, from Paris, France. You are a talented and successful young actress with many roles. How sweet. Which role left the most impact on your heart? It's a lovely question. There was a role I did in a film called Partition that really left an impact on me. And that, I mean, it was a love story, star-crossed lovers, which seems to be a theme in my life also, as an actor anyway. But that one really opened my eyes to a part of the world and to a religion that I didn't know as much about before. But all the roles I've played impact me, especially when they go on for a long time. When I play a character for many, many years, they become a part of my heart. And that goes from, you know, Lana on Smallville to Catherine on Beauty and the Beast. Like, these are characters that I'll always carry with me. And then a question from Carla from Fort Erie, Canada. It's a daunting thought, knowing our decisions can affect people, which puts a lot of pressure on choices we make. Do you think that Joanna is aware of this, considering how her life has been affected by the decisions that her father made and the decisions she's now making when it comes to the town? You know, I don't know that Joanna is thinking about that consciously. I don't know that she's thinking about her choices. But I think that as the series progresses, the weight of her decisions becomes more prominent in her mind. And I think she tries to divorce herself from those effects and tries to kind of just make choices that are best for her. And that just becomes more and more difficult to do. But I think your assessment of this is really smart. I just don't know that Joanna is as conscious of this yet. This is something she would reflect on in the future and come to understand better. Sarah from Toronto, Canada asks, how does working on set in Canada compare to shooting elsewhere? Every set is this amazing microcosm. So shooting in Toronto or Sault Ste. Marie or Winnipeg or Vancouver versus Bangkok, which I got to shoot in for like 4 months, or Ouarzazate in Morocco. There's just different cultural elements, different food, different like heat or cold. So it's hard to say how Canada compares specifically because I think every environment is so unique. It is comprised of all of these beautiful individuals working together, and that produces something that it's not as clear for me to define. Hope that's an okay answer. Okay, Mary Lou from Switzerland asks, my question is, how does it feel like working with Star Slade? You two have amazing sisters chemistry, thank you, and I can't wait to see the story about you two. It is amazing working with Star Slade. She is a spectacular human being. That woman is a joy to work with. This is pretty much her first project. She did something before this show, a small project, but she's learning as she goes. She came to set and, you know, is just picking it up so quickly. And she's just such a light. She has a great perspective on life, and she's 18, but she feels like she's 92. She's very wise, and her outlook is very positive, and I love working with her. We have a great time together. I consider her my friend. Drew from Toronto asks, hi Kristin, legal dramas are so popular right now. What makes Burden of Truth stand out from the crowd? Interesting question. So I was watching a few legal series just to get a sense of the genre. And I feel like this show is very different in that it focuses a lot on those affected by the crime, as opposed to the lawyers in an office dealing with their interpersonal dramas and also trying to win a case. So you get to live in the lives of the community and the people, and I think that makes it really unique. It's really easy to divorce ourselves from what goes on for people, and this show doesn't really allow you to do that. So I think that's how it's very different, and also one of the things I love about it. Luke asks, considering that Burden of Truth is that must-watch show, what is your must-watch show? Good question. I love and am waiting for Better Call Saul to come back on the air. I think that show is fantastic, funny, subtle, human. It's shot beautifully. I love it. That is the one that I am like dying for it to come back so I can watch it. Danny asks, did you find that being a producer helped you to grow as an actress too? Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you're looking at it from a producerial perspective, you kind of see it as from a macro perspective. And as an actor, sometimes you get caught in the micro, you get caught in the minutia of your own character and their experience. But a story is not just one character's experience. A story is all of those elements coming together. And so it's good for actors, I think, to, maybe not all actors don't work like this, but it was good for me to be able to see both sides of it because it helps me to craft the story better through my performance. So yes, it did, to answer your question. And I think that's it. thank you guys so much for watching the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you got something out of it. And remember to tune in tomorrow for the return of Burden of Truth. That's Wednesday at 8 p.m. on the CBC. And stream it later also. And then stay tuned for the next E1 to 1 Facebook Live that's coming soon. Thank you guys so much.